In 1989, director Terry Gilliam began working on a film. It was destined to be his next big picture, an adaptation of the Spanish epic novel Don Quixote, written by Miguel de Cervantes and published all the way back in 1605. It was to be called The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. However, what started as an exciting new project would turn into a waking nightmare for Gilliam, which saw the film not being released until almost 30 years later.
I thought this was rehearsed. This is not rehearsed. We're fucked. We are fucked. And we didn't know it.
Chickens with no heads running around. I mean, it is real panic now.
This has been bugging me for a long time, and Quixote has been, dogging me. The first time we started this, trying to get Quixote on the page was around 91.
I've been, fantasizing this for a very long time, and it's, I've made the film in my head. The pictures are there. It's been played out many, many times.
The story of Don Quixote is about an old man who reads far too many chivalric romances, and in his delusion decides to become a knight-errant. He constructs his own armor from bits and pieces around his house, saddles his old donkey, and sets out on adventures with his trusty squire Sancho Panza, who is a simple farmer. Don Quixote is delusional to the point where someone would see a windmill, he would see giants. Gilliam's adaptation differs from the original, in that Sancho was only to appear at the beginning of the film until Toby Grissoni, who was a 21st century marketing executive, is thrown back in time and is mistaken for Sancho. He is then recruited as Quixote's trusty squire. Gilliam was unable to secure funding for the film in America, so he decided to try and get it made in Europe, where he was finally able to secure funding. And in 1998, full-scale production began with a secured budget of $32.1 million and an all-star cast. Jean Rochefort, the legendary French actor, was cast as Quixote. Vanessa Paradis was cast as the female lead, and Johnny Depp as Toby Grissoni. Due to the film being made on a smaller budget than Gilliam had originally envisioned, many of the actors took a pay cut and had to squeeze the production into their overwhelmingly busy schedules. This issue was compounded by the fact that they had to travel all the way to Spain where the production was based. Usually at this point in production, the cast is assembled to be able to rehearse scenes and do table reads. None of this was taking place. Furthermore, the leading actress Vanessa Paradis had not even signed a completed contract with just 7 weeks remaining before principal photography. The production was fractured, with different departments being run out of different countries. Costumes were in Italy, the cast was in England, France and Prague, and the special effects were being run out of America.
We don't know. Or we have to deliver a script change that, I don't know, so many that can happen.
Yeah,
so many things.
plus maybe.
The animal trainers begin to grow concerned that the horses are not going to be able to perform their choreographed scenes without knowing the actors. And since there are still no actors to be found, their training is almost pointless. Eventually, Jean Rochefort, the leading actor, is able to make some time to come to Madrid for pre-production. He had spent the last 7 months learning English to prepare for the role, and he is also a fully trained horseman. The last soundstage in Spain is finally secured for the production to shoot all the interior scenes. There's just one problem.
That was the first thing we said when we got here. So this is a warehouse. So I don't know how we do this, because these sets have got to be not that. And there's no other studios.
Properly done, proper with everything.
Sound is critical.
The soundstage was more of a warehouse than a studio, and the acoustics were so poor that all the sounds would echo and reverberate throughout the warehouse, making the task of capturing sound for the film yet another hurdle to jump. Rehearsals and test footage continue to be shot. Costumes are finalized and brought to Spain. Rigging and stunts are finalized and rehearsed. There's just one problem. Still no actors. As he was boarding the plane to Spain, Jean Rochefort was experiencing immense pain. He decided that it required immediate medical attention and went to the hospital for examination.
But Jean Rochefort panicked on Sunday.
I am sure that you have a panic. Me, I have a lot of panic about it.
I'm very cold.
Everybody have our panic.
Finally, an actor arrives in Spain. Johnny Depp.
I've got an actor. I have an actor. He's sitting here. Yeah, last time I know we didn't have an actor last time. Now we got an actor. You're the new boy in town. This is called our film. What's the name of it? It's not Chocolat. It's oh. Did I finish that one? This is the inn, but there's going to be a herd of sheep in the inn. So it just the lonely.
To further stress Gilliam, Depp begins suggesting changes to his character in the film that he believes will work better than what is in the script.
The only thing I was thinking is would Toby's initial thing be like, maybe he's on the set of the commercial? What I was thinking is maybe the first thing he would do is want Bob just yell cut. Bob! Cut, Bob!
That's great. That's great.
There's got to be an explanation for it. And obviously here's Don Quixote and there's the windmills and all that shit.
Cut this. And then it's clear that it's great. It's really nice.
Vanessa Paradis finally arrives in Spain to begin screen tests for her many costume changes. Jean Rochefort arrives in Spain with less than a week before shooting begins. His medical issue was a small prostate infection which doesn't seem to be inhibiting him at this stage, and he proceeds with the screen tests, table reads, and rehearsals.
It's going to be an extraordinary film. It's going to be beautiful and terrible at the same time. Yes. Yep.
Location filming begins on a nature reserve 4 hours north of Madrid.
DOS, director on set.
The first scene to be shot has Quixote rescue Toby after he has been captured and placed in a chain gang. The first shot is captured without any problems and they move on to a choreographed scene. The only problem is a different set of extras were used for this scene in rehearsal, and these extras have no idea what to do in the scene.
Wakey, folks. People have to start getting up. Come on. I know this is rehearsed. This is not rehearsed. You need extras to do the rehearsal. If you don't get them, you better tell us so we know in advance that we're fucked. We are fucked, and we didn't know it. I want to know when we're fucked in advance, not in the middle of a shoot.
They decide to move on to another scene. However, a new issue arises.
Cut. What's going on?
Right as they begin shooting the next scene, F-16 fighter jets begin flying overhead, making it impossible to capture any audio and makes organizing the crew a logistical nightmare. The importance of the horses being trained with the actors now comes into play when they proceed with shooting, only this time the horses are not responding to their cues because they have not been trained with the actors. They eventually manage to cobble together the scene after extensive difficulties. Shooting starts off well on day 2. They get some good shots in the can and morale amongst the crew seems better than the day before. That is, until after lunch where the weather changes and the sky turns a deep grey and thunderclaps begin. They endeavour to keep shooting using artificial lighting. This time, instead of F-16s ruining the sound, it's thunderclaps which in turn cause the horses to begin braying in fear and obstructing takes of the scene.
I suspect there's a large bunch of lightning and a storm about to hit us. What I'd like everybody to do right now is to make all the gear completely safe, cover up. We're going to wait for this lightning to pass, see what the weather on the other side of the front is, whether or not we can reconstitute, but at the moment, what I need everybody to do is to make safe and get under cover.
A violent storm hits the production and begins to wash away thousands of dollars of equipment. Crew members are left to chase after gear floating away in the flash floods. Gilliam and his first AD discuss if they are covered by insurance for the damage and where to go from here. The The production is covered for any damages caused by the inclement weather, however, they aren't covered for the time lost during the production. Instead of shooting, the decision is made to take the day to put the units back together and salvage what they can from the equipment. The production decides to try shooting again on the 4th day. However, due to the downpour, the scenery is now tinged with dark browns and green that won't match the footage shot on the first day. To make matters worse, everything shot before was done in direct sunlight, and it is now overcast, meaning none of the footage is going to match. They decide to shoot close-ups on Johnny Depp, which won't focus so much on the background. However, it requires them to completely uproot and change locations, which takes many hours out of the already scarce time. Once again, the F-16s make an appearance.
We wait them out. I don't want to waste time shooting dialogue while that's going on.
No, we can't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're just...
But the timing, no. I mean, there's going to be something else soon.
Finally, Johnny and Jean can shoot a scene together with dialogue. However, there is another problem: Jean's prostate infection. It is causing him agonizing pain as he rides around on the horse. It is coming through strongly in his performance, and it is decided that he cannot continue to shoot like this.
Here's one more.
When it was time for him to get off, it took 2 men to carry him off the horse, put him in a chair. It took him 40 minutes from there to be able to walk to his car.
It was clear that the issue was a lot worse than originally thought.
I know it hasn't been the best week for everybody. I know it's been really, really difficult, and I know we've had a lot of calamity. But I'd like you all, thank you all very much for hanging in, doing your bit.
Do we get snow next week?
22 years I've been in this business. I've never seen such a sum of sfiga, we say in Italian, bad luck. I mean, everything that can go wrong goes wrong. I mean, everything.
When such a calamity happens on a production, usually the solution is to fire the first assistant director. The film's producers gather and discuss this option, however ultimately decide against it due to a lot of factors being outside of his control. Jean Rochefort flies back to Paris to meet with his doctor. Gilliam decides it is best to move on and shoot other scenes that don't require Jean Rochefort. It is a scene with Johnny and a horse, and the film's investors are invited along to the set to watch the production in action. Once again, the lack of choreography practice with the horses come into play, and the horse won't follow its cue to nudge Johnny in the back. Gilliam grows intensely angry and embarrassed as the investors watch on.
Turn the camera on this, turn the camera around, Johnny looks in. Let's just get on with it. Johnny's gonna, we go into a close-up, we don't have to be anywhere. Johnny can do it from here. Leave the camera there, he turns in the camera and walks out. Okay. We'll get some shots. This is fucking stupid. Jesus.
Word comes from Paris during the shoot that Jean won't return for at least a week to the production, and that he will not be able to ride a horse.
Last Friday, at lunch.
Yeah, I know.
I stick by that statement. And I'll stick by it when he comes back this time too.
Well, you're not going to put him on the horse? Well, then what are we doing here then?
This would end up being the final nail in the coffin for this version of The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. After the non-stop problems during production, and now the absence of the main actor, the film enters a state of limbo. The crew are in Spain and have no work to do, waiting on someone's word to tell them what is going to happen next. All this time, the crew is having to be paid and the insurance is not going to cover it. The insurance company claims that Jean Rochefort's illness is not an event of force majeure or an act of God, and therefore they are not financially responsible. The idea is floated of recasting Don Quixote, however, Jean Rochefort, Johnny Depp, and Vanessa Paradis are what is known as essential elements. If any one of them leaves the film has to be entirely refinanced, and finances are already extremely thin. It all comes to a head when the first AD tells Gilliam he's going to walk away from the film.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go back to El Hete, and I'm going to tell the French producers that I'm not going to continue in the project. We can't make the film with them. Not the film you want to make.
The production closes down and a significant amount of money is lost. The crew start moving on to other jobs, and Gilliam reflects on the fact that the film is now abandoned. It appears as though Terry Gilliam himself became Don Quixote, a man with a vision, wanting to bring the fictional into the real world, however harsh the reality means that the vision was not meant to be. Gilliam made other attempts at the film with Johnny Depp, Ewan McGregor and Jack O'Donnell as Toby, and Robert Duvall, Michael Palin and John Hurt as Quixote. However, these attempts also ended due to financing problems. It seemed the curse of Quixote was eternal. This was until March 2017, when filming finally began with a renewed script and cast in Adam Driver as Toby and Jonathan Pierce as Quixote. The film was finally complete and premiered at Cannes Film Festival in 2018. The film had limited releases in other countries as well. It released to a measly 65% critic approval rating. However, after almost 30 years since its inception, Gilliam finally got to release his film. And I think you should watch it just to see what 30 years of blood, sweat and tears look like. If you're also interested in this story, most of the footage in this video comes from the film Lost in La Mancha, which is a documentary that covers the full story behind what happened. I recommend you check it out. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this bizarre story, please subscribe, as I will be making more content and documentaries on this channel in the future.